Hello everyone and welcome back to another video from everyone's favorite Halo YouTuber. I'm Rehab, your favorite Halo YouTuber, and today we need to talk about the first war of 2022. That's right, it's the HCS versus Halo amateurs. It's been a rough week for HCS. I would hate to be Tashi's mentions. It all started earlier on. This Sunday, the day I'm recording, is actually the first HCS qualifier for HCS Anaheim. And it all started when the AMs noticed that it was single elimination. So they gave some feedback, kind of loudly. They weren't too kind about it. That they wanted double elimination. Double elimination is something that the Halo amateurs fought for the past couple years over the MCC tournaments, maybe the late Halo 5 online tournaments. And they had it for the HCS Raleigh qualifiers, so why don't we have it for these? Well, Tashi, was able to get that switch to double elimination. You'd think that's a huge win for HCS and the AMs and everyone's happy, right? Well, you would be wrong, because when switching the tournament over from single to double elimination, they actually cut the team cap in half. There were 512 teams, and they cut it in half to 256 teams. And the Halo amateur scene was not happy. Take a look here at Dramis, is that how you say your name? Sorry, man. My job is competing, and looks like Halo cutting teams to 256 means we do not play today. I love my job. Obviously sarcastic there. If you look down here, people were still hopeful. Update on team cap. The team is working closely with FACEIT to increase. Need to ensure tournament can run smoothly, of course. Additionally, teams that don't check in on time will be purged. It's a delicate balance because the first tournament was run on Saturday and finished on Sunday. It was a 2-day tournament, so maybe they felt that 512 teams with double elimination was okay if it was a 2-day tournament. They don't want to run too late with double elimination on one night. Maybe they don't think they can get all the matches in one day, and they were willing to do it with single elimination, thinking they can get through the series a lot quicker. And the big problem is that obviously there's people probably like me just getting some friends together and jumping in a tournament while there's still really aspiring Halo pros trying to get in with pro points. They got pro points in Raleigh, like my boy Wiley here. Good thing these frog brains with no points get to play today, while my team at land points doesn't get in. What's the point of seeding? It must be frustrating, obviously, if, Halo is literally your life and you're just competing. That's all you do. And stuff like this happens. And, it's going to get you frustrated with HCS because it always seems like 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. It's always something that comes up and causes issues when it comes to HCS. Known as Phenom here, you either set the cap and allow entry based on points or tell us ahead of time how many times you're going to drop the ball. There's a new fire every week. Zero anticipation, zero foresight. In normal world, people get fired for this type of thing. I'm obviously not going to call for anyone to get fired, but, people do need to be held accountable for when stuff like this comes up because it is frustrating. And we've been waiting so long for Halo to be in the spotlight, for people to want to play and compete in Halo. And then for things like this to come up where people want to compete and then aren't allowed to because of team caps. It's really frustrating, and it's going to turn people away from Halo Infinite. And then obviously, people are complaining really loudly, maybe not being the nicest to the HCS team and, their employees. So then people are going to complain about the people complaining, telling them, grow up, stop being so frustrating. And then, complaining about people complaining about the team cap is way more annoying. You'd be salty too. And obviously they would be salty. Everyone would be salty in this situation. I would be so mad if I finally got a team together, finally entered into one of these FACEIT tournaments, and then wasn't allowed to play because of the team cap. But it didn't end there, because Tashi had an update on the team cap later, working with the team, FACEIT, and Esports Engine to see if they could actually add more teams. In the end, they weren't able to do it, as you can see from this tweet here, and obviously they have to do their corporate apology, we're sorry, blah, blah, blah. But this tweet giving people hope kind of caused even more issues, because then people are like, oh no, I need to be up early, make sure I can get in on this tournament. You look at, people like MLG Queen. I've been up since 10 a.m. refreshing the FACEIT page to see if any spots open. Refreshed at 11. Never saw a join button. Only 37 teams of the 256 didn't complete check-in. Are there more spots? Am I going to bed? It must be frustrating for people like this. They're kind of night owls. They're not going to bed at normal time. They're probably up late playing. Then, got to wake up early to see if maybe I can get in. You're unsure. And then in the end, they weren't able to actually get into the tournament. And honestly, nothing's more frustrating than having your time wasted And, you know, it just leaves a bad taste in all the competitors' mouths who are really just giving their life into trying to compete in Halo. And, you know, things like this are really just going to push you away. You know, as you see down here, also seemingly no one cares since our feedback sounds like a broken record, because it always ends up with something going wrong, always ends up with people having to complain on Twitter and hope for changes. And sometimes it's changed, you know. 343 tries to be as receptive and accommodate people as well as they can, but it doesn't always work out. You know, these last minute rule changes and lack of communication, you know, his tweet about maybe opening more spots are a waste of time and effort. That's got to be the most frustrating, to be waking up early just to, you know, try and hope you can get in, and then obviously it doesn't work out in the end and everyone's time was just wasted. And then you hear stories like this and you just get so frustrated and you feel so bad for people. You see Bandemonium here. So switch days around at work. He worked 56 hours in 5 days just to see that he could get Sunday off, have his team ready for the tournament. And then they get purged from the list. What the hell? So apparently, obviously, when the team cap was 512 teams, there were, you know, however many teams registered, more than 256. And then when they had to cut the team count in half, teams that I assume entered after 256, you know, 257 onwards, had to get wiped from the tournament. So how frustrating would it be to have, you know, go out of your way with work and scheduling just to make sure you can play in this tournament, and then, you know, you think you're in it, you have your team registered, joined, and then all of a sudden they just wipe you out because, oh, we had to cut the teams in half. You see things like this and, you know, you feel so bad because you know how hard they're trying to just get in here and play in a tournament, and things just never seem to go right for some reason. And then you get into the argument of, you know, double versus single elimination. You see here the whole point of having seeding and double elim for tournaments is to make sure the best teams have a fair chance at advancing and reaching the money. Cutting the teams in half obviously messes that up, because if you match a team that's, you know, a top team in the world early on in the tournament and it's single elimination, you lose and you just get a terrible placing. With double elimination, obviously you get knocked down, but if you're one of the better teams, you're going to make your way through losers bracket and eventually, you know, get very close to the placing that you should be at. However, cutting the teams in half, there's a lot of really good teams that are going to get 0 points because they were unable to play in the first tournament, and then there's going to be teams that get seeding points that maybe wouldn't have if all these teams were allowed to play. So that messes up the seedings for future tournaments, because these better teams that didn't get into the tournament today are going to be, you know, lower seeded, maybe matching better teams early on in the bracket, and it's going to mess up the bracket in a sense. And if that continues, maybe a team just missed out on this first tournament and just isn't able to really accrue a good amount of points because they're constantly chasing after better teams because of their lower seeding. They're going to get a bad seeding at lands, and it's just going to continue to kind of snowball. And then, of course, obviously all the backlash on Faceit and HCS, the memes just started flying in, you know. Did you get double elimination? Yes. What did it cost? Half of the qualifier spots. I was on vacation just enjoying Twitter, just watching the show go on, because obviously it was a disaster. I wasn't a part of it. I was away this weekend, so I was just watching from afar. And it's not a Halo controversy if you don't get a Moses tweet in there, right? Props to HCS for snatching defeat from the jaws of victory yet again. He has their two options: single elim for 1 week, change it next time, everyone gets to participate. Option 2, double elim now, 1,000 less people get to play. Isn't the choice obvious? And that's honestly the worst part, because people wanted the double elimination, but Tashi never said, oh, hey, if we do double elimination, that's going to cut the people in half. So it would have been a lot better of a decision to just do single elimination for this week. Hey, sorry, double elimination back next week, and we'll make it work. I'm not going to tell anyone how to do their job, but if I'm Tashi and I get an email like, hey, we can make a double elimination, but we have to cut the bracket size in half, I'm going to see that and be like, hold on a second, you know? It doesn't seem like that was really on the table. Maybe he wasn't told, and then he was like, double elim, and then they just switched it to half, and he's like, oh no, now what, you know? I'm not sure how it went down, obviously. I believe Tashi has the best in mind for the Halo community, so I'm not going to put any ill will towards him, but if I'm him, you know, that's a question I'm going to ask, and that's something that I'm going to, you know, figure out before I actually go through with the double elimination. And then obviously we got some tweets from the pros, Snakebite coming in saying 2022, and somehow we stay messing up the basics of our esport. Isn't that so Halo? We've had multiple online events around now with 500 plus teams. Why cap the first one just to go back to it being uncapped? Apologies to the players who didn't get a chance to sign up. And obviously, all the tournaments before, as we were saying earlier, were on Saturday. And this one's on Sunday. They didn't want to have a tournament on the first day of the year, I guess, because, everyone's recovering from New Year's Eve, or even if they didn't go out into a big party, they were probably, drinking on their own with their family or whatnot. They didn't want to have a tournament on the first day of the year, so they had to make it Sunday, but then they didn't want to double limb because they don't think they can get it all in on the one day. So just problems all around. And then we got Druck here. Hope HCS makes the Team Cat 512. We waited years to have this many people interested in competing in Halo, only to turn them down when it happens. Well said, Druck. And that's all you need to know about HCS versus the Halo Amateurs, the Great War of 2022. Apparently, HCS won this time, but we'll see who comes back in the next battle next week. Different style video I wanted to try out, so if you guys enjoyed it and want to see more content like this, leave a like to let me know, and also subscribe for more Halo content. I upload every single day, so hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on tomorrow's video. I also stream every day over on twitch.tv/rehabsforquitters if you want to check me out over there. And as always, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Later.